This is my review of the video game Final Fantasy IX. I played the original Final Fantasy, which probably came out in the 1980s, and I played Final Fantasy II and Final Fantasy III, and the last version that I played was Final Fantasy IV. And I played other games that are similar, and I'm going to tell you my impression of this type of game. Basically, what you have is a character. In the version that I played, you would walk through some sort of a medieval environment. There would be various quests that you'd have to solve, but you don't know what the quests are. When you start out the game, you have no idea what you're getting into. You have to go and talk to people, and people will tell you about where you can find something or about something that they need, etc. And you can recruit other people to go with you. In the version that I last played, you would have 6 people, and you'd have different weapons. You'd be carrying different items, and each person would have a different race, such as one of them could be an elf, one of them could be a dwarf. You'd have wizards, you'd have fighters, etc. And and you would do like a roll. You'd roll the dice, and it would give you a character, and you either accept the character or you don't. And I was always trying to get the jack of all trades who was good at everything. It was the wrong strategy. You want to have the fighter be really strong, the wizard be really good at magic, etc. And I actually made it to the end of the game, but I never finished off what they call the boss at the end of the game. And that's when I realized, it's because my wizard he's not strong enough with magic, and the fighter's not strong enough with the sword. I used a jack of all trade method, and it was the wrong method. I really enjoyed playing the game. This game looks nothing like the one that I remember playing. It looks very different. In fact, I would say that the graphics look worse than what I remember. Usually they have a bit of humor in the games, and there are a lot of games that are similar. For example, we got one here that says, you know what? The review is about Final Fantasy 15. So this is more like what you should expect to see in the game. You're going to see characters like this. They must have had a lot of releases over the years. What I would do is I would make a bunch of characters. Because I was in high school, I would name them after all of my friends. And usually, these games are not impossible. Usually you do fairly well. I guess it's when you have cars that you drive around in. And I did very well and didn't have to worry much. Usually if a character died, I would just restart the game and bring him back to life. And I really enjoyed playing. The versions that I played, you'd finish it within about a month. But sometimes the games can last a lot longer, and they have a lot of side stories that you might not know about. And you'll have to ask other people about the side stories. You'll have to look online just to find what's out there. It's a very good game. Again, there are tons of games like it. When I played it, we only had like Ultima and Final Fantasy, and that's it. There were only really 2 choices. The other games either weren't worth buying. Those were the only 2. Now you've probably got 100 games to choose from. So to me, this game is legendary. I don't know what your impression is, but there's a lot of choices out there, and there's a little bit for everything, so for everybody. So my advice, if you don't know what to buy, my advice is you check out the reviews on all the games. We've got a lot of choices out there. I expect that they're going to be more similar than different, and the differences might not matter so much if you just like role-playing games. Would I play it again? I'm going to tell you right now, I have no interest in playing these games ever again. Because it's basically they're combat games. All you're doing, there's a little bit of problem solving. Maybe it would be fun with friends, but the combat aspect where you're going out there and you have to fight, I don't need the hand skill part of my life. I prefer city builder games and things like that. Something where you have to build something. The puzzles and the problems that you have to solve in these games usually are not that advanced, especially because you can go on the internet and just ask anybody. And a lot of them are just luck. You have to just happen to walk through the right door, open the right chest. Okay, so that's my review of Final Fantasy series. You see, it's very positive. Trust these people's reviews. This is a lot of people playing these games. And is it worth like $50? I think you're going to find a version that's worth $50. But you see over here it's $35. I think it's worth $35. Definitely worth $35. If you're looking to compare and you can only buy one, you might want to consider one of the other games. Unfortunately, I cannot recommend any of them. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.